Welcome to Goal Setting Essentials. We are going to show you a guaranteed method to move the needle and contribute more fully to your own development as well as the needs of the team and your apartment community. Maybe you remember the Alice in Wonderland movie from your childhood. This is the communication where she first happens upon the Cheshire Cat. "Can you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" said Alice. "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to," said the Cheshire Cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. Okay, so what's the point? The point is, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will do. In order to effectively and timely progress in areas of importance to us, it is useful to know the best way to go from point A to point B. Wouldn't you agree? If you diligently plan your life, there is no guarantee that your plan will happen. Actually, many people live their lives without any real planning whatsoever. If you don't plan your life, it's highly improbable that you will be as successful as you can and deserve to be. As a matter of fact, more people plan a vacation than they do their lives. Why do you think that might be so? If you chose E, all of the above, you are correct. Congratulations. Let's talk briefly about fear. Fear is a big reason people don't set goals. If we don't write down goals, then we don't have to worry about anyone knowing what we haven't accomplished. If people don't know about our goals, they can't try to hold us accountable. Accountability can be scary. All of these excuses stem from fear. Fear is a mindset that holds us back. Paul Spencer says it well. Goal setting is the cornerstone of accountability. If you wish to become more successful, goal setting is a proven way to achieve it while adding more value to your team, your family, and your community. Ask yourself this question: am I willing, first and foremost, to hold myself accountable to do my best every day? Trying new things, while it may be outside of your comfort zone, will stretch you to new heights of accomplishment. This is a simple process, but it's not always easy. You just have to know how to set goals. And if you don't know how to set goals, well, we're going to show you how. Know that we are conditioned to believe we can or we can't accomplish. Very often people, even loved ones, will try to talk you out of attempting a goal if they think it might be too difficult. Don't let their fear and doubt affect your belief in yourself. Remember the saying, if you can conceive it and you truly believe it, then you can achieve it. No one, not even you, know what you are capable of. Fear of failure comes from a conditioned belief that failure could hurt you. We like to say that there is no such thing as failure, only feedback. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln lost 6 elections before he finally won one? And Walt Disney went bankrupt 7 times in his career. It took Thomas Edison more than 10,000 trials to perfect his light bulb. What all of these highly successful men have in common is that they failed their way to success. Know that you deserve to be successful. If you have a clearly identified plan with specific and measurable action steps and you diligently work your plan, you will be successful, and that is guaranteed. In order for goals to be effectively written and accomplished, they must meet certain criteria. First off, they must be your personal goals. That is, these are your goals for you. If you don't want to work on a goal that someone else thinks you should, odds are you won't. If you want to achieve it, then you will achieve it. It's as simple as that. Remember that you can't set goals for someone else, but you can set goals with them. A goal should also be a short what statement, not a how statement. For example, one of my goals states that I will read 3 books this month. In the goal statement, it doesn't say how I am going to accomplish the goal, merely what I am going to accomplish. And if the goal statement is not short and sweet, you may have a hard time even remembering what that goal is. Goals must also meet what we call the SMART criteria. If your goals are written in a smart way, then you are setting yourself up to reach them. The term WIG stands for Wildly Important Goal. As a company, our strategy is to become the best, most respected property management company in the industry. Wildly important goals are the most important steps we can take to execute our strategy. It is critical that we identify and focus on the wildly important, as these are the areas that matter most and make all the difference. Failure to achieve the WIG makes every other accomplishment seem secondary. Many organizations and departments work on too many goals at once. This often results in few, if any, goals accomplished because focus becomes diluted. To identify and focus on one or two WIGs may mean doing business unlike we've ever done before, or we can call this a paradigm shift in how we do business. To determine the wildly important goals, don't ask what's most important. Rather ask this question: if every other area of our operation remained at its current level of performance, what is the one area where change would have the greatest impact? Hopefully you see the difference. Why is phrasing the question this way important? Because the real enemy of accomplishing the wildly important is our day job, which we can call the whirlwind. Typically, 80% of our time goes into just getting the urgent tasks of our job done. The whirlwind is both urgent and important. A WIG is always important, but not always urgent. The challenge to become more successful is to be able to execute the most important goals in the midst of the urgent. We are going to be using the acronym SMART to identify the must-haves when creating an effective goal statement. The S in SMART stands for specific. Your goal statement has to be stated in such a clear and concise way that anyone who reads it will know what you are going to accomplish. For example, you might say we will turn our 3 vacant apartments to be market ready within the next 10 days. To get even more specific, you might write, we will turn our 3 vacant apartments 2A, 4D, and 3F to be market ready by April 15th, which in this instance happens to be 10 days out. The M stands for measurable. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. The good news is that anything you measure will improve. Work on your goal statement so that accomplishment leads to a clearly quantifiable result. In our earlier example, if our goal is to turn 3 apartments in 10 days, then at the end of 10 days you can easily measure if you succeeded. The A stands for attainable. Given all of the variables to consider, is my goal doable? Can we turn 3 apartments in 10 days? It depends on the conditions of all 3 before you start. If they just need a good cleaning and a few minor repairs and adjustments, then 10 days should be sufficient. If your goal is too aggressive, then just adjust your deadline. Maybe it will take 15 days to make all 3 market ready. You get the idea. The R stands for relevant. You want to set your goals in an area that return the most on your time invested. Consider the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule goes like this. 80% of your productivity comes from 20% of your activities. It could also be that 80% of your problems come from 20% of your residents, or 20% of your staff, or 20% of your relationships, and so on. The key is to set your goals in those 20% areas that return 80% on your efforts. Consistency in dealing fairly with others, staff development and training, relationship building, quick response times, etc. are all areas that will be worth your efforts. And finally, the T stands for time bound. This just means that your goal has a targeted deadline. When are you going to hit your goal? This deadline can also help you measure progress to see if your target date is realistic. To be effectively written, your goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now let's look at how this works by reviewing a systematic goal planning worksheet available to you on Prestige Web. I am not going to be fleshing out every step in its entirety, but you'll get the idea of how the process works. Notice at the top of the goal planning worksheet there are spaces to write your name, today's date, the date you start on your goal, the target date, which is the date you expect to complete the goal, and the actual date the goal was achieved. Target dates are not set in stone. If April 15th comes along and my goal is, say, 2/3 complete, I can either feel a bit like a loser because I didn't complete it, or I can just readjust my target date and then take the extra time to complete it, which will make me feel like a winner. You decide which is the best decision to make there. The next section is the goal statement. This is a very important part of the goal setting process, as the statement must be short and meet the SMART criteria. In this case, my goal is to read and finish 3 books by April 15th. I did not put a year on my goal, but you should. As you can see, the goal is SMART because it is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The next section asks us to list the benefits of meeting the goal. If a goal is important to you, you can always find benefits for both you and your team or the company. The next section has us figure out what could possibly creep up to prevent me from hitting my goal. In my case, it's watching too much TV, which could limit my reading time. When you identify potential obstacles and create possible solutions to overcome those obstacles, you can power through to completion. The second side, or the back side of the goal sheet, is where the magic happens. The first side is strategy, the second side is execution. In order to create an action plan, the idea is to brainstorm all of the tasks that would lead us to goal completion. We recommend doing this on a separate sheet of paper, and here's why. We work best when we're listing things by brainstorming. This helps us be more creative and relaxed, since we are not trying to decide what needs to happen first, second, or in any logical order. We are just writing down some potential action steps we think will be required to hit the goal. After the brainstorm, we go back and look at which steps will actually help us realize our goal. There may be some steps we listed that aren't relevant, and we can cross them off. We then prioritize them and put them neatly on the action plan. The idea is that the sum of all action steps equals goal accomplishment. In my example of reading 3 books, my first step is to talk with Dave about recommending appropriate business books. I would then write Dave's name in the Others Involved column. The target date to talk to Dave is 1/25. Since I transferred that action step to my planner's task list on 1/25, it shows up, and I call Dave asking him to recommend some books. He gives me a few books, and I mark it off on my list. Then I go back to my goal sheet and record the date I got it done. Guess what? I am starting to progressively realize my goal. Easy as that. Maybe I decide I need to sign up for a library card, or I would prefer to buy the books or purchase a Kindle to read the books on. I control how I want to proceed. Next, I go to the library and pick an interesting title. I then make the appropriate time to read each day. If I diligently follow the system, I am well on my way to goal accomplishment, and that feels good. A question towards the bottom of the goal sheet asks if doing the action steps required are worth the time invested. This presents an opportunity to decide if I really want this as my goal. Hopefully it's worth it. Maybe a goal is too large to work on right now. I may want to just file it away for a later time. The last section asks, how will we know when we achieve our goal? If our goal is written in a SMART way, we will know by the measurement we choose. Did I read 3 books or didn't I? In any goal, the number of action steps generated will depend on the complexity of the goal. If my goal is to read 3 books in 3 months, that's pretty straightforward without too much complexity. But if our goal is to become eligible for promotion to the next level in our career, the action steps required could take up quite a few pages. Regardless of the length of your SMART goal, to quote Paul Spencer once again, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The goal-setting process will help you become as successful as you desire to be if you set SMART goals and diligently work towards achieving them through review, action, and focused execution. All we ask is that you think about how goal setting can benefit your life and then do your best. If you just do your best, you will consistently achieve and feel good about yourself in the process. The fact is that we always feel good about ourselves when we accomplish good things. Setting goals and then working your plan can be a very positive habit. Can we count on you to objectively look at goal setting from a positive perspective? If you are open-minded to the possibilities and then just do your best, you and we will reap the benefits. Now it's time to take a little quiz on the goal-setting concepts that we've discussed in this presentation.